All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about a really powerful mental model for dealing with success and, maybe more importantly, avoiding the traps that come along with it. It all comes down to a simple shift in how you see things, a shift that can make all the difference.
So let's just jump right in with a question. What is the most dangerous part of success? It's a little counterintuitive, isn't it? I mean, we spend all this time and energy chasing success, but what if the biggest danger shows up the second we think we've actually got it?
And there it is. That's the feeling. That sense of being stable, that thought of, okay, I'm good now, I've arrived. That right there, that's the danger zone. It's where this subtle, really corrosive kind of arrogance starts to grow, telling you, hey, you can ease up a little, you can stop trying so hard.
And this is what we're calling the price of pride. It's what happens when those small wins start to pile up and, well, they make us a little too confident. We stop being hungry, we stop learning, we stop looking for ways to get better, and we just become complacent. We think we're stable, but really, we're just standing still while the rest of the world is sprinting right past us.
And this is where that arrogance really starts to cost you. Think about it. A business owner gets one location working perfectly and immediately thinks, great, let's open 10 more. Or an investor gets lucky on a couple of trades and suddenly believes they've cracked the entire market code. They just don't see the hidden dangers because their early success has put blinders on.
A perfect example of this? Just think back to the crypto boom around 2021 and 2022. It felt like geniuses were being minted overnight. What's so wild, though, is how quickly that so-called genius can just evaporate. In a huge bull market, it's easy to feel like you can't lose. Let's look at a real story from our source material that shows this perfectly.
So get this, one investor, swept up in all the hype, made $5 million in just 3 months. 3 months! Can you imagine that feeling? He must have thought he was invincible, that he'd completely mastered the market and was on his way to becoming a billionaire.
And then, in the very next 3 months, it was all gone. Zero. Why? Because that early success made him arrogant. He took on massive risks, used a ton of leverage, and it all just came crashing down. So the crucial point here isn't just that he lost money. It's that his success didn't actually teach him anything. It just made him blind to the incredible risk he was taking.
So how in the world do we protect ourselves from this trap? The solution isn't to avoid success, of course. It's about adopting a very specific mental model, a conscious shift in your perspective that's designed for the long haul.
And this is what it's called thinking from the bottom. Now, what does that mean? It's basically a mindset of intentional humility. It's the practice of always seeing yourself as a beginner. Now, let's be super clear. This is not about having low self-esteem or beating yourself up. Not at all. It's a strategic tool. It's about developing a healthy respect, maybe even a fear of what you don't know, because that's what keeps you sharp. And you can really see the difference laid out here. On the left, you've got that arrogant mindset. Learning just stops. You feel stable and secure, so you start ignoring new risks. But on the right, with the bottom mindset, learning is constant. You get that nothing is guaranteed. So you're actually out there looking for what could go wrong. One is a dead end. The other is the engine for continuous growth.
And hey, this isn't just some abstract theory for individuals. This applies to the absolute giants. I mean, think about Nokia and Kodak back in the 90s. They were untouchable, at the absolute peak of their industries. They felt stable. And because of that, they completely missed the monumental shifts to smartphones and digital photography. Their position at the top created a fatal blind spot.
Okay, so this all sounds good in theory. Think from the bottom, be humble. Great advice. But how do you actually do it? How do you stay humble, especially when things are going really well and your ego is feeling pretty good about itself?
Yeah, saying just be humble isn't exactly a strategy, is it? So how can you actually force yourself to stay grounded? Well, this is where it gets really interesting, because our source material offers a surprisingly simple and very physical hack to do just that.
Ready? Here it is. Start running. That's it. Simple, but definitely not easy. The argument is that running forces you into a world where the feedback is totally objective. It's an environment where your ego and your excuses have absolutely nowhere to hide.
So why this specific activity? What is it about running that makes it such a powerful tool for humility? Well, it's because running is the great equalizer. It really is. It doesn't care about your job title or your bank account or how smart you think you are. Here's a perfect story from the source material. The author, a young and fit guy, was proud to finish his first marathon in 4 hours.
But at that same race, a runner who was nearly 70 years old finished a full 40 minutes ahead of him. The data on the stopwatch? Well, it doesn't lie. That is a profound lesson in humility right there.
And that's the whole point. Running gives you constant, real-world proof that there's always someone working harder and achieving more. The metrics are undeniable. You can't argue your way to a faster pace. You see people with more challenges than you, age, disabilities, whatever, and they're still out there crushing it. It just proves that excellence is about dedication, not just talent.
This quote really just nails it. In our careers, we can tell ourselves, oh, they just got lucky, or they had advantages I didn't. But running strips all of that away. The clock is impartial. We're all equal at the starting line, and that forces an honest look at yourself that is really hard to find anywhere else.
And that's the real takeaway here. Look, maybe running isn't your thing, and that's totally fine. The real question is, what's your proving ground? Maybe it's learning a musical instrument, or coding, or martial arts. The key is to find an arena in your life where the results are objective and the effort is transparent. Find that space that forces you to think from the bottom, because that is your ultimate tool for staying humble, staying hungry, and being ready for whatever comes next.